Welcome back to Nostalgianomics. Today I'm going to attempt to save you from the perils that await you on your collecting and investing journey. And I see this mostly with newer collectors or investors, or with a lot of investors who are working on limited capital, right? You have capital constraints, you don't have money to throw into everything, and you can't really afford a lot of the higher dollar items, and so you really target the lower value items because you can buy more of it. And what I like to refer to this as, it's not the official name for it, I like to call it the penny stock fallacy. And because it mimics exactly what you see on Wall Street with penny stocks. People get enticed into penny stocks because of the low dollar amount of them, what they cost, and how much of it they can buy, right? They don't want to be able to buy 2, 5, 10 shares of NVIDIA, right? They don't want to do that. They want to be able to buy 1,000, 10,000 shares of this 20, 50 cent stock because it makes you feel like you own a large portion of it, even though you may still own just as much percentage of that company as you did in NVIDIA, those prices, right? It's all based on the price per share multiplied by the amount of outstanding shares of the company. So although you may own more shares, it may have way more shares out there. And so people fall into this trap that, well, hey, Amazon did it. It went from a penny stock to being one of the most valuable companies in the world. I could get rich, right? That's how all these stories start. I could get rich off this. And you can't tell people they're wrong because they can point to these 1 and 2 little events that happened and these 2 things that did it. And they can say, see, this could do it here. I believe in this. I read all the stuff on this. This company is legit. And you just have to let them, make their own mistakes, because inevitably, 99.9% of the time, what happens with these penny stocks is they trail off and they go to zero and go bankrupt. They have little to no growth over time. You see your money sits there stagnant without getting any dividends, and you do make nothing. Or a lot of the times they'll do a bunch of reverse stock splits. And what happens there is the company will do a reverse split. It'll put the value of the company way up here. It'll go from a 20-cent stock to a $5 stock. And then your shares will get diluted by that same ratio. And then it trails off into nothingness again, back to a penny stock. They'll do it again and again and again. And all of a sudden, it does it 10 times and your 10,000 shares got diluted down to 1,000 or 500 shares over time. And now you still have no money and now you have no shares either. And so that's what happens on Wall Street. Bringing this back to Pokemon and collectibles, right? A lot of people get in the hobby. They're newer and they don't have anything. So the first thing they want to do is they want to get a bunch of stuff. The only problem is a lot of the better investments, I would say, are expensive. And because of that, they lower their sights and they just want to fill up their shelves and fill up their rooms and their collections with anything because they want to buy quantity. They're all about quantity. They don't care about the quality. And so they buy a bunch of quantity of stuff to make it look like they got a bunch of stuff. And this is not picking on anyone who has capital constraints, right? You don't have a ton of money to throw into something risky like this or to spend on a hobby, and I get it. And it's not to attack anyone, right? And if you're just a collector and you just collect the stuff you like, hey, I'm gonna tell you right now, turn this video off, come back to the next one. This really isn't for you. This is for people who want their collection and want their investment to actually grow in value over time. If you don't care, again, just, hey, appreciate you stopping by. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you're not yet, but come back for the next one. This really isn't for you. But for all the investors, people who want their collections to appreciate, you have to think about something, right? You can't, try to go back and get this confirmation bias and say, Alex, I did it. I found this card here and this card and that card. These were 50-cent dollar cards, Alex. Now they're worth 15, 20 bucks. See, told you it happens. I'm buying all kinds of these $1 and $2 cards. They're going up. And it's like, look, I can't say you're wrong. The odds are, though, you're gonna be wrong 99.9% of the time, and all that money's gonna sit stagnant, it's gonna drop, barely gonna rise, and you're gonna be unhappy over time. But you got to own, 100 copies of this card, or 100 different cards, instead of just buy, 1, 2, 3, 5 of cards that actually have a good track record and could actually grow because of their rarity, their scarcity, their popular Pokemon, they're the best hits in the set, things like that. Same thing goes for sealed product. I see this so often, right? So often. I get messages about it, emails, Discords, Instagram. I see combos about it. People will say, Alex, look, I only got a certain amount of money. booster boxes are expensive, right? I can either buy 2 Silver Tempest booster boxes, or I can buy, you know, these mini tins and these stacking tins and these collection boxes and these you know, check lane blisters and sleeve blisters and 3-pack blisters and whatever else they have out there. I can buy like 10 of all these products. What do you think? And although I can't like specifically say 100% you're going to be wrong, but it's kind of like being at a casino. You know going into it that they have the odds on every single game in that casino. And so the longer you stay there, on average, you're going to lose over time. You can go there and win. I've went to the casino many times and won, right? Because once you get up, if you get out, they can't get it back, right? And so the odds, you know, you can beat the odds from time to time, but over time, over enough time, enough hands, enough plays, you will lose. And the same thing goes with investing, right? If you're going to take low percentage plays, eventually, you can get lucky from time to time. Eventually, you're going to lose over time. Your money will erode away. Now, when you take the high percentage plays, that's how you build wealth over time. It may not be as fun, may not be as sexy, you may not get those home runs, those grand slams, but you will consistently make money over time because the odds are in your favor, just like casinos make money over time, right? They have people walk out every day winners, but the majority of people every day walk out losers. And the same thing goes with investing, right? And so I'm not going to tell you that you're not going to be in something like Evolving Skies sleeve blisters and they're not going to go to the moon like we've been seeing. Or I'm not going to tell you, you know, there's these certain collection boxes or certain 3-pack blisters that have promos pop off that go to the moon. However, what you need to do when you're looking at investing is look at the whole, you know, product as a whole. Go back, don't get confirmation bias and look at the few successes. Go through every set, right? Go look at what that product did in every single set over time, right? Go look at what like cards have done, right? Go look at what, you know, these certain, you know, random, you know, small value hits have done over time. The majority of these 50-cent, $1, $2, $3 cards, they don't do I'm telling you right now, this is a true story. There's cards that when I got in the hobby 9-10 years ago, even after the Logan Paul COVID boom, everything to the moon, they're still around the same price they were back then because they have no rarity, they have no scarcity, they're not sought after Pokemon, they're not sought after cards, and they just stayed around the same value for years and years and years. When most of the high dollar, the high flying, the biggest hits, the most popular Pokemon in the sets, a lot of those have seen ups and downs, but overall in the last 10 years, they've risen. Same thing with a sealed product. It'll have ups and downs, reprints and booms and busts, but over time, it's risen. Right? And, you know, I understand looking back at X, Y, and Sun and Moon, you can look at some of these ETBs, you can look at some of these boxes, some of these tins, and it can give you sort of a warped view of what's possible. And I don't want to give these unrealistic expectations on this channel. Sure, it can happen. You can have boxes pop off. Who knows? This Kingdra and this Greninja box coming out with Shrouded Fable, beautiful cards. Maybe Shrouded Fable gets a little shorter printed. Maybe it's not as sought after, so they don't reprint it. Maybe those boxes become scarce. They go. You don't know, right? You don't know. It's just you're really kind of throwing darts at a board, much more than taking the tried and true method of, you know, boxes, top value cards of people that are actually rare that people chase after. And so you have to make your own decision for yourself. But I did want to make this video because I do get a lot of questions about this type of subject, and I've never really made a video discussing it, but. That's the best title I can put on it, is the penny stock fallacy. This idea that owning a large quantity of a bunch of cheap things gives you a better chance than owning a small quantity of the more expensive items. And it's just not true, guys. It's really not true. You know, you're better off in Wall Street investing in, you know, the companies that have, you know, seen success, and that even though their stock price is higher, it makes more sense than trying to, you know, jump in on these new penny stocks. Same thing with Pokemon. I mean, the booster boxes have proven true, right? You know, the top rarities of the most popular Pokemon in sets, you can go back generation after generation. They've held their value. They've seen multiple rises over years. And then when you go back and look at like all these other things, you know, it's really, it's up and down. Like some of them have done well, some haven't. You can convince yourself like you're the best, you know, card and set picker and product picker out there, and you're going to do it better. And maybe you will. And I'd be happy for you. But the odds are you won't. And then what happens is, and this is sad too, and again, I'm not trying to attack anyone. I'm not trying to like bring anyone down, but right now, I mean, I'm having countless people, and I think it's a lot to do with a scanning thing, but reach out to me wanting to sell their collections. And what happens is they have all these different products, right? You have you know, these blisters and collection boxes and tins and stacking tins and, you know, just all these different weird products. And, you know, they have realistic asks. They want like 80%, 75%, whatever it may be, you know, and I have to tell them, hey, look, I can take it all, but it wouldn't be at a valuation that you're happy with. Like, what do you mean? I said, you know, 80%, 75% of market. I'd be closer to like 50, 60%. And you're saying, Alex, that's such a ripoff. But it's not, right? Because most people don't want all these products. So I have to take time to sell all these things. I have to either break them down, sell the packs, sell the promos individually, and it just takes a lot of time, effort, and time for them to sell. I'm not going to wait a long time to get my capital back. And so, but if people reach out to me and say, Alex, I got all just booster box cases, booster boxes, what can you do? I mean, I'll give you 80, 85%, right? I mean, sometimes more if it's stuff I really want. Like, and so that really tells you like what you want to be in. Like, so even though you might see, you know, cards go up on paper, right? You might see a few sales of an old card that was $2, now it's $5, and you have 100 copies. Well, hey, go try to sell 100 copies of that card at $5. Let me know how it works for you, right? Or you see some collection box that you own, you bought it for 20, now it's 50. Well, go sell 100 collection boxes, right? Because I'll tell you right now, I can sell 100 booster boxes rather fast, pretty quickly, right? These other products, these other cards, they don't move like that. Whereas, you know, you could sell 100 high dollar cards, like $100 Charizards. You could sell 100 of those way faster than you could sell 100 like card that went from $2 to $5. So you have to think about the future liquidity of this stuff as well. Same thing on Wall Street, right? Some of these stocks, they have very little volume traded each day, and you own tons of shares. You could literally put on the market. You could click sell under market price, under what the bid's going for, the ask, and you could throw them on there, and all the shares won't fill right away. Whereas, you know, some of these other, like Nvidia, you know, Tesla, Amazon, you could put all the shares that you own on the market, and then boom, they're gone right away. As long as you price them what the, you know, bid or ask, whatever's going for, boom, gone. And so that's kind of the same thing with Pokemon. It's not quite, you know, one button click. That's kind of one of the downsides of Pokemon investing. There's no one button click sell with these booster boxes, but or some of these high dollar cards, but you're going to be better off in the long term with the stuff people are actually seeking after, and it'll be easier to move them. And so just don't fall into that trap. I understand. We all started there. Unless someone came in this hobby already rich or whatever, you know, already with tons of money to spend, we all started with very limited capital, being able to buy very limited amounts of things. But I urge you, don't get caught up in the quantity over quality. It's always been quality over quantity. Buy the quality cards, buy the quality product. Don't get caught up wanting to just fill your shelves with a bunch of quantity, because in the end, you're not gonna like it. I'm just gonna tell you that. So, hey, if you enjoyed the video, if it helped you, leave a like, leave a comment, let me know, and I'll be back here in a new one soon. I'm out.